Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay, as we're taking the Gospels back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is Badass Kids, the story of Eli. Today we're going to focus, actually I'm picking up kind of where I left off on the rant. You that heard that rant, it was called The 10 Lepers. The 9 Ungrateful is the video. The 10 Lepers, the 9 Ungrateful. Where it happened to be someone on my social media site that inspired this message, dealing with corporal punishment that's been taken out of schools. And this person was trying to argue that this spoiled generation here that you see in front of you is an okay generation because there's no corporal punishment. And that corporal punishment is abuse, is what this person tried to say. And I tried to say, I beg to differ. It's the difference between corporal punishment and abuse. Matter of fact, on my Bible here, that I raised my 4 children by, and they came out okay. Teaches spirit of God spoil the child. Now we're gonna go to these verses in a minute. You see, this generation here, the reason we have kids toting guns and going around and shooting up schools and beating up adults and assaulting adults because of their political stance. They might have a Trump hat on. Some little brat run up and smack them or something. Is lack of parenting in the homes, lack of corporal punishment in the homes. You got a generation now where the parents, or if they have any parents at all, some kids don't do, like wild weeds, they're raising themselves. They try to be buddy-buddy with them, these so-called parents. And there's no parental role models anymore to separate the children from the parents. Actually, the parents are hanging with the kids, and the parents want to relive their teenage years of childhood again. They're going to kids' parties, dressing like the kids, and moms are out mini-skirting their daughters and showing off their female anatomy. So there's no role models, no parental role models anymore. And that's what had sparked this rant. Because I raised my kids under the tutelage of the Bible. That's my role model, the Bible. And it worked out great for my kids. I realized we live in the last days, and the evil dark forces that be have their agendas. And the main one is Agenda 21 that took corporal punishment out of schools, out of the homes, out of the neighborhood, took God, prayer, and everything else out as well. And this is the result of this generation. This is the result. What you see now, that's in the schools, it's in the streets. The kids are joining street gangs. You got to get some direction somewhere. So they're getting bad direction, bad upbringing. There's no, like I said, there's no corporal punishment. They're getting it in the correctional facilities. Some that are wise and smart are joining the military. But you're going to have correction in those institutions. You get out of line. Like I said before, in the last video, you get out of line in the streets, the police are going to beat you. Your butt. You get out of line in the penitentiary, the COs, the prison guards, going to beat you. So why not raise your kids where you beat their butt at home. That's what that padded section is back there for, God, man. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about using your fist, your hands, or anything else. See, when we was growing up as kids, I was raised by a military family. My dad raised me. Raised by a single father. In the hood. So, you can imagine. And things wasn't as bad as it was when I was growing up in the hood, but it's gotten worse due to crack and drugs and everything else. But the point I'm making is, we had a tree. Everybody knew about the tree story and switches that come from the tree. Now you either got the belt or you got the switch when I was growing up. Some kids got Hot Wheel tracks. And they would beat your backside with it. I wouldn't hit upside my head or none of that. Your backside, your butt, the padded section is what got tore up if you got out of line. And I didn't get too many of those beats. That's the problem now. These kids need their ass beat. Back when I was growing up, the teachers beat your ass. The neighbors could beat your ass, as well as your parents when you got home if they found out you get a double ass whooping. Kids these days, all they got to do is dial 911 and the parents arrest the teachers and neighbors, anybody else that touch these spoiled brats. Now let's look up the word spoiled. Because a lot of them like to say, these parents, I spoil my kids. Oh yeah? You spoil them, huh? Well, let's just see what the word spoil means. The Oxford Dictionary. We'll look up the word spoil. And then I'm going to show you how God feel about spoiled kids. First, we're going to read about corporal punishment in the Bible. God made some examples of how he felt about spoiled kids in the Bible. So this is for you parents. This is for you. They'll let us spoil your kids. They'll let them do whatever. And God's going to hold you accountable. That includes you single moms that don't have a father in the house, because I know what you're thinking. Well, get a man. You humble down to a man. A man's the head. Find you a head that you can humble down to. Bring him into the house to regulate if you can't do it, but God's going to hold you responsible. You single women for the household, as though you were a man, since you playing that role in it. Now let's look up the word spoil. You ain't going to get away with it with God. Let's see, spoil. Make something less good or enjoyable. Become unfit. Now, here's the definition. This is your Oxford for spoil. Become unfit. To make something less good or enjoyable. Harm the character of a child for not being strict enough. Oh, I can't believe the Webster's had this dictionary. This is even shocking to me. Harm the character of a child by not being strict enough. No discipline. No discipline for your children. Need discipline. They need corporal punishment when that's in order. But they need discipline too. Well, I can't believe the Webster had that definition. Treat with great or excessive kindness. Excessive. Okay, that's the Webster's for spoil. Now let's get back to what God says about spoiled kids. I'm dealing with, this is titled as Badass Kids, the story of Eli. He's a great example in the Bible, but we got others. Now, let's go to Proverbs 13:24. Let's see what the book of Proverbs. I know a lot of legalists like to quote Proverbs all the time. They like to beat you over the head with Proverbs. But let's see if they ever use. I don't think they ever use this verse. The legalists, I never seen them. And I can use Proverbs. I can use James too. That's the other book they love to beat you over the head with. I can use either one. The legalists love those books. Love to wear you out with those. But I don't recall them ever quoting this dealing with badass kids, because you know why? A lot of them spoil their kids. A lot of these legalists, there's thou shalt not crowd, they spoil their kids. They make their kids rotten. Another word for spoil is rotten. To make rotten. You know, like a spoiled food, spoiled apple, rotten. See, that's even more graphic. That's what used to be in the old definitions. They got kind of new agey now. But they know rotten is the true word meaning of spoiled. Proverbs 13:24. He that spareth the rod hateth his son. Now the Bible says you hate him. And the Bible's correct. If you spare the rod, you hate your child. Because you're going to end up hating the child, because the child's going to be spoiled rotten. And who likes a spoiled rotten kid? You can't do nothing with it. Most parents create the monster, and now they're forced to deal with it, and they hate dealing with the monster they create. That's what it means. You're going to hate them. I'll read it again, in case you didn't get it the first time. He that spared the rod hated his son. I didn't write this book. I just raised my kids by it. And it worked out great for mine. They excelled much further than I thought they would. PhDs, masters, and everything else. They showed me what a little discipline to do for them in their life. I don't even like spoiled kids around me. I don't like anything spoiled around me. Spoiled kids, dogs, women, anything else. Spoiled means right. The kids told you that. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chaseth him many times. Chaseth them many times. Whips him if needs be. There's different forms of punishment. Physical or corporate is the last stage. And when all else fails, that'll get a child's attention. It's laying hands on them. Not a bunch of talk, timeouts, and all that stuff only goes so far. Or depriving them of certain things, certain privileges, they only go so far. Sometimes you just got to straight up lay hands on them to get their attention. And instill some old-fashioned fear for you as a parent. And that saves them from God having to deal with it. Because if God got to deal with it, you're about to see that in the Bible in a minute. When God got to deal with your kid, you might not want God to deal with your kid. That's our role. I raised mine. I chastised mine so God didn't have to. I have the job is hard. None of us perfect. My kids wasn't perfect. And neither was I perfect. That ain't the point. The point is for you to raise your kids with discipline so that God can get their attention. That's what this whole parenting thing is for. And he don't have his work is cut out as hard for him. Because he might go to the extreme with your kid. And we're going to read that in a minute. All right. Proverbs 22:15. It's for all you legalists. You legalists must love this. Y'all love to quote Proverbs all the time. Beat us up the head with Proverbs. Proverbs 22:15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. I'll read that to you again. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. You want to act a fool? Okay, I'll show you. I'm gonna beat your ass. I bet you I'll beat the foolishness out of you. And I'm gonna give you some act right. And I had a rule. This was for the neighbors' kids as well, because I was raised old school. Like I said, the neighbors could lay hands on you too. And then they would call your parents, and your parents would follow up with the neighbors. They wouldn't attack the neighbors. What you beating my kid for? You know, acting a fool or nothing like that. They think that back in that generation, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. And we had a village raising us. Their eyes was on us all the time. And I appreciated that. I didn't like it back then growing up. Everybody snitching on you to your parent. I didn't like that. But after looking at this generation here, I was very thankful that I had people that cared, the teachers cared, you know. Let's read 22:15 again. But they beat the foolishness out of us growing up. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Kids gonna naturally do foolish things. They're gonna do something crazy. The word talk ain't gonna work. But the rod of correction shall drive it far from it. All right, let's move on. This is the scripture. This is the Bible. For you Bible thumpers that love the quote this. I don't know, you never heard these verses quoted, not even the pulpit. 23:15, Proverbs. That's what we do here, street priests. We go where no other preachers go. We're like Star Trek here. We go where no other preachers go in the Bible. It's the 66 books here. How come you don't hear 66 books being taught? We teach 66 books here at Street Priest. I don't even like that number, but that's what we teach. 23:13. Is that what I said? All right, verse 23:13. Withhold not correction from the child. I didn't. Hear that, you spoiler parents out there? Especially you Christians, call yourself so-called Christians. Withhold not correction from the child. For if thou beatest him, beat. So you're clear. Look up the word beat. That's physical. So if you use corporal punishment. Back in the old days, parents would say, this is going to hurt me more than it hurt you. I doubted it, but that's what they used to say. They didn't want to have to lay hands on you, but if that's what it came down to, that's what they did. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. That's how the Bible feels about corporal punishment. For all you new age Christian parents out there. We're old school here at Street Priest. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Now let's move on to some examples of some spoiled brats in the Bible that got it. And they got it from God. Numbers 3:4. Oh, this is old Pastor Aaron here. Now, Pastor Aaron, I taught on Brother Aaron is the title of the video. Get that one, Brother Aaron, the people's pastor. Yeah, he represents over 80-some% of the pastors behind the pulpits these days. They're the people's pastor. They do what the people want. Paul and Peter said, should we please men or God? But we cease to be servants of God and become servants of men, we can't please God and vice versa. So Brother Jay is not a man pleaser. He's a God pleaser here. And if that offends you, good. I'm in the right camp. The Bible said we should be salt. I'm Sergeant Salt. I'm not here to tickle your ear. I'm here to make you uncomfortable. All right. Let me find numbers. That's what happens when I don't mark stuff. And go back and forth. You sitting up in a church where you don't twinge and wiggle in that chair periodically, get out of that mausoleum. They ain't teaching God's word. They ain't teaching the truth. They ain't teaching the abrasive salt of God word. Get out of that honey dripping massage parlor church of yours. It's catering to the flesh. But yeah, I said it. I did stuff. Numbers 3:4. Some of you probably there waiting on me. Said, "Well, I wish you heard it." All right. Now this is Aaron's son, Pastor, brother Aaron, people's pastor, and he had some spoiled brats. And Nadab and Abihu. Oh, let me start up here. I'm so sorry. Let's start up here. Chapter 3, 3:1. We'll start at 3. These are the generations of Aaron and Moses in the day of the Lord spake with Moses in Mount Sinai. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron. Now Aaron is the high priest in the Bible. Represents the high priest. And God said he made a covenant with Aaron and his sons that they would always be in the high priest line. And Aaron is the brother of Moses. In case y'all don't know who Pastor Aaron is, you should know who Moses is in the Bible. It's Moses' brother. And Aaron was second in command to Moses in the Old Testament as they rained terror down on Pharaoh and his crew. It was Moses and Aaron. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests, which were anointed. They're anointed of God. Anointed and appointed of God for their position. Keep that in mind. Whom he consecrated to minister in the priest office. They are the priestly line. Now we, the ministers of God, take the priest. We take the place of the priests in the Old Testament. Aaron and his priests, the evangelists, or prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. Prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. Apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors. Some I was missing. Apostles means sent one. And Nadab and Abihu. These are the names whom he consecrated. And Nadab and Abihu. This is verse 4, Numbers 3:4. And Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. God killed them. God killed his spoiled son that didn't want to follow directions. Nadab and Abihu in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. Now, reason God killed Abraham's spoiled children, because he said they offered strange fire. God, they was to get that fire from the brazen altar, which took the place, all these things are written, the shadows and types of Christ. The brazen altar represented what Christ was to do at Calvary. His sacrifice, the cross. The highest offering that you can give God was a sweet savor offering, meant to send for God's pleasure. That's the one he prized. That's what Christ did. Christ was a sweet savor. So you were to get the fire from that altar to light everything else that was in the tabernacle. Get my teaching. If you don't know what the tabernacle is, get my teaching on it. I taught on the tabernacle. That's what it's called, the tabernacle. Get that video. But anyway, I taught on all the artifacts that they represent. That fire was to come from one place and one place only. They went and got fire from where it represented. Fire represented the desire, the will the burning passion and will for what God wants. God told his disciples after John the Baptist baptized him, "This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. Hear ye him," as he thundered from heaven. So the skies opened up. God wanted, that is that brazen altar represented the will and desire of Christ. Hear him. Do it Christ's way. Jesus said, "No man come to the Father except by me, through me. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me, through me." Christ is the way. That's what that brazen altar represents. And his sons, when it got fired, in other words, representing, they trying to do it a roundabout way, some other way, some fleshly way, other than the Christ way, which symbolize that brazen altar. And God killed them spoiled brats today, because Abraham didn't discipline his kids to follow God's orders, and they in God's house. That's what I told you. If you don't straighten your kids out, God will kill them. He'll straighten them out. Or he'll put them through such hell like Jonah, the way they'll get straightened out. Pay close attention. You spoiling parents out there, especially you Christians. I'm really talking to you. You know, they say, I'm a Christian. Yeah. And why are your kids spoiled right? Why are they unruly? Why are they doing what they want? When they want? With no discipline, no rule, no corporal punishment. Acting up in school, smoking dope in your house, and doing whatever they want to do. It's the kids of the day. And you call yourself a Christian, really? All right, here we go. 1 Samuel 21:7. Somebody else with some badass kids. That's what his title is, Badass Kids. 1 Samuel 2:27. I'm sorry. Now you just seen God wipe out 2 kids of Brother Aaron, Pastor Aaron. That's the pastor's kids. He killed the pastor's kid. And usually, you know what's funny in the days were? Back when I was growing up, the pastor kids got it. You a PK, that's what they call it, PK, preacher kid. They knew you got discipline. They knew you was the pastor was living the Bible when it came to you, spare the rod, spoil the child. That was my dad's favorite quote, spare the rod, spoil the child. We didn't get spoiled at all. We got our ass beat when we got online. I didn't get too many of them. I think I only got 3 that I can count. I was a smart kid. I figured it out quick. He's going to win every time. My dad was drill sergeant, 20-year Army vet. I wouldn't go to mess with him. The man looked like Darth Vader. I learned quick, and my special forces uncles had his back. My 2 special forces uncles. I had men raising me. I'm glad, because the environment I was in worked out great. No females in my life up until much later. But anyway, you don't want God to deal with your kids. That's why we're studying it, because He will. His head might be a little too heavy. Yours might be lighter than his. Now here's another spoiled bunch. And of the priestly line, once again, we're dealing with a high priest and his spoiled kid. Like I said, the pastor kids got it when I was growing up. PKs. Now, these kids are the pastor kids, preacher kids, church kids are more spoiled than the world in some cases. It wasn't so when I was growing up. No different generation. The pastor kids, preacher kids. And there came a man of God unto Eli. Now God sent this man a prophet. This is the high priest Eli and his spoiled brats. Now he's of Aaron's Aaron's lineage too. The one we just read about. We got his kids. And there came a man of God unto Eli, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Did I plainly appear unto the house of thy father when they were in Egypt, in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to offer up on mine altar, to burn incense, to wear an ephod before me? Ephod was a stone of transparency. I'll give my teaching, like I said, on the tabernacle. And did I give unto the house of thy father all the offerings made by fire of the children of Israel? Wherefore kick ye at my sacrifice? No, this is God boasting of. He said, why are you desecrating my sacrifice? Why are you treating it as though it's crap? You better be careful when you trifle with the things of God. That includes, the Bible says, touch not God's anointed. That includes the men of God. And some of you trifle with too. You think God won't lay a hand on you for that either. Be very careful. Wherefore kick ye at my sacrifice, and at my offering, which I have commanded in my habitation, and honorest thy sons above me? Do you honor your kids? I'm talking to you out there. This is specifically for you Christian parents. Do you honor your kids above God? Yeah, some of you really do. That's why they're spoiled. And that's why you're not raising them the biblical way like God said to raise them. Spirit of rod, spoil the child. You honor your kids above God. And Jesus said, if any man come after me and ain't not wife, mother, brother, children, yeah, even his own life, can't even be my disciple. He can't even be my disciplined learner. My disciplined learner. I tell you can put God first. And how you put God first? This book right here. What do you think we're reading? This right here. This is how you put him first. See, some of you are all mystical. And you're no different than the people in voodoo and